I'm here with Justin Zimmerman at KCC Comic Con. um, so real quick, what exactly do you do, and how long have you been doing it for?
So my name is Justin Zimmerman, and I am a comic book creator, and I also am the media director for Battle Quest Comics. And my master's is in film, so I am a professor and a filmmaker and a project manager, and I have been for about 20 years now. About 10 years ago, I started getting published,
Careful there.
and then I started actually working for comic book companies. So I'm here today at KCC to talk a little bit about the making of comics and to work with the library and the college itself to kind of spread the word about comics and comics creation.
Nice. So how long have you been in the comic book industry for?
Well, I guess about 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to start actually making comics, and through independent comics and Kickstarters, I became more and more proficient in the medium. And then I started getting published with some of the books I have here today, 27 Run and The Killing Jar, and the 27 Run Crush. And about 2 years ago, I actually started working for the publisher Battle Quest Comics in Portland, Oregon, nationally distributed through Diamond, and should be in the book market soon. And media director, I help all of the work find its audience out in the retail world, and also do some editing, a little bit of writing, and then I direct the motion comic trailers for each of the releases.
Nice. And your art right here, if I can show,
Oh yeah.
is really, really well done.
Well, I've been fortunate to work with some really phenomenal artists over the years. I think a lot of this business is about relationships and it's about communication. And
I wholeheartedly agree.
yeah, so people can find my work online, and they can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever fine books are sold, and Battle Quest Comics is on the way as well.
I can say from experience, it's good to know people in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So real quick, where can people find you online if they want to learn more about Battle Quest Comics and all the other comics you've done?
Yeah, I mean, BattleQuestComics.com is going to take you right to our website. You can order our stuff. We're in the comic book shops each and every month. And for me, my name's, again, Justin Zimmerman, and you can Google me or go to brickerdown.com and see my work over the years.
Can't wait to see you again, Justin.
Hey, thank
you, and hope you enjoyed the rest of the con, man.
Appreciate it.
Daria?
Dioria.
Diaria. How we doing, Joey?
Well, we're doing pretty good.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, we're having a good time here. It's wonderful being here at Grants Pass.
Now, is this your first time at an Oregon convention or an Oregon in general?
My first time in Oregon in general, and my first Oregon Comic-Con.
So if you're able to, mind telling the people at home who are watching this what you've been in and what it's been like?
Okay, well, for 17 years, I was WGN TV's Bozo the Clown. In fact, we had a lot of viewership in Oregon. In fact, a lot of the western states watched our show when WGN was on what they called the Super Satellite. And, yeah, I did the show there. And we had an awful lot of fun. Prior to that, I did a lot of voiceover work. I was Butch the Alley Cat and Droopy in Tom and Jerry.
Butch is probably my favorite cat. He had like a very unique voice.
Basically, you're a New York Weisenheimer kind of guy. I was Alistair Asmith in the video game Ratchet
Oh,
and
the
Clank.
PS3 version.
Yeah.
Basically the game's
Yeah.
failing you don't know what spoilers at the end.
Exactly. And I did a number of other things. The Mr. Men Show, Space Racers, The Loud House. I was the voice of Buzz, the practical joke-playing ghost on The Loud House, which I believe aired, I think will be airing this month on Nickelodeon.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice would you want to give to someone who wants to be this kind of stuff, whether it's, something small, something big, or it's like the stuff you've done?
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, I attended the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. From there, I did dinner theater in Ohio, and I've worked in theater in Denver and Los Angeles. A lot of the people who I worked with did voiceover. In fact, I was working at Universal Studios as one of the attractions. It was Castle Dracula. And I was Renfield, and the fellow who played Dracula was Richard Epcar. another very
He's
well-known.
very, very talented. I follow his work.
Well, he and I are old friends from long ago. In fact, it was Richard that got me into voiceover.
Well, shout out to Richard.
Yes, exactly. But we did a lot of looping in those days. Then when I went to Chicago to do Bozo, I did that for 17 years. And when I came back, I looked up Richard and a bunch of my other old friends and managed to get involved with a number of projects. I met a wonderful director, Mark Risley, who directed me in Yokai Watch and Yokai Watch and in Tom and Jerry and a number of other projects. The Mr. Men Show, and we had a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Joey, I hope you enjoy the rest of the con, and I hope you have a good time here in Oregon.
I'm having a great time. Thank you
Oh, and
so
thank
much.
you. And by the way, I like the glasses and the bow tie.
Well, thank you. Yes, if you don't have an act, have a wardrobe.
I'm here with Chase Masterson at Metal Arc Comic Con 2023. How are we doing, Chase?
I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I mean, I'm glad to be back here. And I know you said this is not your first time in Oregon, but your first time for Metal Arc.
Yes, it is. It's such a beautiful area. My goodness. Happy to be here.
So how are you liking the con so far?
It's a wonderful con. Everyone's so sweet. It's got that really genuine small town sweetness, and also it's super fun. I mean, what a beautiful area to be in. The people are really nice. It's lovely.
No, that is a lovely area. So a few questions, starting off with the one I usually ask on my channel. What made you want to get into acting?
My mom was a theater director, and I grew up doing theater and dancing, doing a lot of musicals, and that was really a wonderful period of my life, and really is the reason for my passion.
And for those who aren't familiar with Chase, they have a long list of acting credits.
Thank you. Thank you. My work in theater has been just such a beautiful foundation for my life, really.
And it seems like you've enjoyed it, and you said you've been doing this since you were 5.
Since I was
That's
5.
a long time.
Well, thank you.
Oh, no.
No, it is. It is for anyone since they were 5. It's a way of life, a lifestyle. I'm grateful.
And you're still doing it to this day, too?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I work in various aspects of the business, and I'm grateful and excited, and yeah.
I imagine since you've seen the change of how they've been doing it since then.
This whole industry has gone through so much. We just finished the writer's strike, which was such an incredible, powerful
I think that's a win
example
right there.
example of how people can stand up for themselves against corporations, and people have a right to have good lives and to have fair pay. And we're right now in the middle of the SAG strike, so I can't say, too much about my work as an actor, but I will say that I love the way this industry is standing up for workers. I would say the little guys, but they're not the little guys. We're not the little guys. We're the people who create. And what would this world be without people who create? And that goes for everyone out there, whether you're creating autos. I know UAW is also striking. People who create experiences, restaurant workers. And it's not just creative. It's just anybody who lives on this planet has a right to fair pay. And it's really wonderful to see writers and actors standing up for that.
Oh, yeah. So, real quick, another question I asked. For those who may be interested or wanted to know more, what advice would you want to give to someone who may want to get in this type of work?
I would say what we always say, which is don't, unless you really have to with all your heart, because the life of an actor in any area of this business is really difficult. It looks easy, but it's not. There's a lot of pain and rejection and difficult dynamics. And I'd say if you do feel like there is nothing else you want to do, no other life you would like to lead, if you really are that driven, then try. And if you're going to try it with all your heart. And yeah. And if you're going to try with all your heart, then don't listen when people say you can't do this, you won't do this. Just keep going. But that's only if you can't imagine yourself doing anything else.
I have to say, that's some pretty sound advice.
Thank you.
I remember being told, you're always at the start of the bottom. You really have to work your way up to the top.
Well, that is true in a lot of industries, and that is absolutely true. But you know, passion and talent prevail. So if you're going to do this for your life's work, then study like you'd study anything else. Study like you need to study if it were math or music.
Math is hard.
But so is acting.
Oh, yeah, no,
And
I
so is
understand.
directing and writing. So it's not just like, hey, I think I can do this. You have to,
Really, like, put in the work.
there are skill as well as talent.
Oh, I
So
believe it.
anyway,
Well, I think that should do it again, Chase. Thank you.
thank you.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of the con.
Thanks so much.
I'm here with Griffin Puatu at Metal Art Comic Con. How are we liking the con so far, Griffin?
It's nice. I'm really happy to be here.
So, is this your first time for an Oregon con in general?
This is my first Oregon Con. Yeah.
So, if you're able to, want to let people know at home who are watching this what you've been in?
I voiced Louie in Beastars. I voiced Hop in Pokemon Twilight Wings. I voiced Genki Lee in Spider-Man Miles Morales, the video game, and Spider-Man 2 that's coming out October 22nd, I believe.
Nice. I imagine, if you're able to share, how did you get the part of Genki in Spider-Man Miles Morales?
I met the director doing a class. They really liked me. They sent me the audition. It was all secret. I didn't quite know what it was, but I could tell it was for some comic book video game. And then I ended up getting a callback audition, and then I got the part. Yeah, this was all the way back in 2019.
Yeah, I remember when Miles Morales came out, a nice little, I would consider it, in my opinion, a DLC campaign for Spider-Man game, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're doing those games where it's sort of like it's not a full-blown game. It's not quite DLC, and they'll charge like right in between.
Like
So yeah,
anywhere 40 to 50 bucks.
yeah, yeah.
Nice. So, how long have you been acting for? What made you decide this is something you wanted to do?
Oh gosh, I've been acting since I was really, really young, like school plays and like church plays and stuff like that. I started taking it more seriously in high school. I ended up doing like musicals and choir and stuff. I really, really liked it, and I was super into like cartoons and anime and stuff growing up. And yeah, I started messing around with it in college, got into it, made some connections, and then just started like taking it more seriously.
Nice. So, real quick question I always ask. For those who may want to get into, careful, there's a, all good. That part out. So, for those who may want to get into this, whether it's, theater, acting in general, what advice would you want to give?
Just go for it. Any opportunities you can find. There's plenty of voice acting opportunities online.
Especially
There's
Twitter.
Oh yeah.
I've seen literally on Twitter, every time I'm on Twitter, someone's posting, hey, I'm doing this class project for this. I need people with voice actors and good mics and everything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah, and then you just kind of go for it. There's no straightforward path. It's not like you can go to a school or a college and then you like. It's not a straightforward path like anything. It's like being a contractor or a freelancer. You kind of figure it out as you go and find resources online and then in person. But yeah, it's very, very difficult. But if people are really passionate about it, they can go for it. But yeah.
It's just, again, I mean, not many people see probably show like a bigger picture and then like so many voices over the past 20 years. Is it
2016 is when I started.
2016?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that would be almost 8 years.
That's still a long time, especially for someone so young too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that should do it again. Griffin, thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the con, man. I'm just gonna edit that. So again, Toby, because stupid me forgot to press the button. How are we liking this con, and how are we enjoying it?
It's great. I mean, the people are great. People I've talked to, are great. I mean, I love going to conventions and just meeting people because, there's different fandoms everywhere, and I think that's fantastic.
And real quick, want to tell people what kind of art you do and everything.
Well, I'm mainly a comic artist. I do a lot of sketch cards. I do have published comic books. One is called Villain. One is also called Sumo Geisha. I'm working on a secret project right now with Dave, who actually runs the convention, and that is going to be coming out next year.
Geisha, I love that name.
Yeah, well, Sumo Geisha is actually based off a short story that Dave wrote.
I didn't know Dave did.
He does. Yeah,
I
he's
did
a
not-
published fantasy artist. You
I
don't know
did
that?
not know that. I will have to.
Yeah,
talk to him
actually,
now.
so I actually have copies of Suma Geisha here at my booth, and his short stories is at the end of it. So essentially, it's about a woman, geisha, who's overweight, and she masquerades as a sumo wrestler. Everyone thinks she's male, and she enters the tournament and ends up winning the tournament over male. So it's pretty cool. It's a
That
pretty
is,
cool
like,
story.
Female-dominated, like badass.
Yeah, it's pretty dope actually.
Nice. And like, so I know we kind of talked about it. Out of all the ones you've done, what was like the most biggest project you've ever done that took you longer than expected?
I mean, it's still my own comic with my writer Nathan Gonzalez. We've done Villain for, I want to say, almost a decade now, and we have 20 issues. We're 4 issues away from completing the entire series. So that's going to be a big project when we get it all done.
I can't wait to see it and learn more about it. Real quick, because I forgot to ask this when we first did this. Where can people find you online if they want to stay up to date with your art or your comic?
Okay, they can follow me on Instagram for sure. It's at 2B or not 2B. So you can check me out there. I post all my art on there as well. So definitely follow me on there.
Oh, I definitely will. So now that it's done, take 2. I hope you enjoy. I hope you and your family enjoy the rest of the con.
Cool, man.
I'm gonna kick myself in the butt if I didn't catch it this time.
Yeah.
And thank you again.
No problem.
With Kathy Garver. How are we doing, Kathy?
Fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are we liking the con so far?
Well, I like it. How do you like it?
I'm loving it so
Is this the royal we?
So if you're able to, mind letting people know what you've been in?
Well, most people know me as Sissy in the classic television series Family Affair, which is still on Catch a Comedy. That used to be decades on MeTV, and it's on Roku and Amazon. And I've done lots of voiceovers, and most people know me in my voiceover career best for Firestar in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
I remember watching that when I was a kid, and I loved that show. I never knew who Firestar was until I saw that show.
Well, because this was the first show, and historically speaking in animation, that Stan Lee created directly for television. All the other characters that he had put onto TV were from comic books, and the character was already created. So this was the first character that he says, I'm going to make a character that's just for TV. And he had Spider-Man, and then Iceman came along, and he first wanted her to be the Human Torch. And then he couldn't get that, so Firestar was born as one of the X-People.
Kind of like what they did with Harley Quinn back in the 90s for Batman the Animated Series, how she was created specifically for the show.
Right. But Stan created that back in the 80s, that concept. And then, like I have 4 comic books at this wonderful Comic-Con, at the Meadowlark Comic-Con, but I have her whole series, that she had a comic book series that was produced just for her. Yeah.
So how long have you been acting for? Like, what made you want to get into it?
Well, I started when I was 3 years old. How much time do we have? Singing and dancing with the Megalyn Kitties. Ethel Megalyn had the studio in Los Angeles. That's where Shirley Temple was discovered. And then the first movie that I did was The Ten Commandments.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that with Charlton Heston? It's
Oh, yeah, I
played.
remember, Mel Brooks kind of riffed on that for History of the World Part 1.
Oh, it could be. And because this is very historical, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And it's shown every Easter in color.
It's such an iconic film.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I only like to do iconic things. Ten Commandments, Family Affairs, Spider-Man.
Now, one last thing. For those who may want to consider getting into this profession, acting, singing, stuff like that, what kind of advice would you want to give?
Learn your skill. You can go to my website, which is kathygarver.com, KathyGarver.com, and follow me on my Facebook, which is Kathy Garver. And I give tidbits about how to get into the business, stay into the business. But the main advice that I can give, I'm in
I graduated from UCLA with a degree in speech. That's why I talk a lot, and psychology, and a master's degree in theater arts. And when I was in England, I went to the London Academy of Royal Arts and a Royal Academy of, and that's why I was a speech major, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. And so, and then I've taken from specialized teachers. It's so nice now because wherever you are, especially in voiceover, you can Zoom and you can record in your own little studios, but you have to learn how to do it. So you can take online classes wherever you are. And that's what I suggest. Learn your craft, your skill, and then show it to the world.
That's some pretty sound advice. I think that should do it. Kathy, again, thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the con, and I hope you get some more people at your table.
I'm sure they'll come.
Marie at Anna Medford 2023. How are we doing, Michelle?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Is this your first Oregon con?
Yes, it is my first Oregon
Nice.
Con and my second con ever.
Oh, nice. And I saw that you're going to be a guest at KomoriCon this year as well.
Yes, I'm really excited about that.
Nice. I love the hat, by the way.
Thank you. It's kind of like cottagecore, but it's also super hot, so I thought
Oh,
it would be,
no.
Good.
So for those who may not know what you do, mind telling the people at home who you voice?
Sure. I think my voice is most recognizable as Nifty in the Has-Been Hotel pilot.
I remember the pilot. I love the pilot.
Yeah, it was really fun to be a part of it. She's like super hyper, so I love playing hyper characters. I'm also the voice of My Melody and Choco Cat in Hello Kitty Super Cute Adventures. I'm also the voice of Anise in Nike, Goddess of Victory. I'm also Miriam Orion in Trails of Cold Steel, and a bunch of other characters here and there.
Nice. So real quick, what got you into wanting to do voice acting?
So when I was 6, my parents took me to my very first musical ever, and I was hooked. I was like, I have to be an actor. Like, there's no question, I have to be. This is like what I'm
No
supposed
ifs,
to
ands,
do.
or buts about it, you just like, you
I
gotta
was
do
like,
it.
gotta do it. And then I think later that year, my parents signed me up for theater camp, and I did it for like my whole childhood. And then when I was 14, I found out that there was like voice acting, like you could do it online. I was like, wait, this is a thing? You can do this from your house? And so then I just started working on indie projects and stuff with friends, and then I just was fascinated by all the acting.
Nice. So last question here. What kind of advice would you like to give for someone who wants to get into voice acting?
I think the best advice that I can give is that it's kind of a long haul. Like, you can't just think that stuff's going to happen right in the beginning, because if you think that, you might get discouraged and give up, and your career is kind of your whole life. So don't be discouraged in the beginning if things don't work out. It's kind of something you got to work at, and opportunities come and go, and some people get opportunities at different times. So like maybe you want to do prelay, or maybe you want to be an anime, but just because you don't get it right away doesn't mean it isn't going to happen. So I guess it's, long story short, don't give up.
And it doesn't hurt to try out for different roles, not just like one specific or two specific roles.
Yeah, because sometimes it's really fun. Like, you think you know what your typecast is, but then you play a role that's completely outside, and you're like, wait, this is really fun. So, yeah.
Well, I think that should do it. Again, Michelle, thank you, and I hope you enjoy this day of the con. I'm here with Marie Westbrook at Anna Medford. How are we doing, Marie?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So is this your first time for an Orchid convention?
This is my first time for any convention.
Really?
Yes.
That's, like, how you liking it? So, I mean, I know it's just
It's
started.
been great. I've met so many amazing people and vendors so far. I mean, I was able to peek in yesterday and see a few
I saw you.
people.
I saw you come in with Dave yesterday.
Yeah, so I was able to come in and meet some of the other actors and then some of the vendors and look around for a second. But
Get an idea of
like what to expect before I came today. Yeah.
So for those who are at home watching this, mind telling them some of the voices you've done over the past few years?
Hanami from Jujutsu Kaisen is kind of a big one because I would consider Hanami a they, has a Funko Pop coming out.
Really?
And yep, any day now. And we've got Jaxo from Star Wars: The Old Republic right there.
Such a good game. Oh, there's this one. There's a Funko
Yeah, there's
Pop
the
right
Funko Pop. Ikumi from Bleach, Maria from Baki Hanma, and Dorio from Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Yeah.
And isn't that from
That's Zargala from Raid Shadow Legends.
That's you who voices.
That's me who voices those spots.
Okay,
Yeah.
I always see like the ads
Yes.
of her with like her orc,
Yes.
with her orc. She's an orc, right?
Yep.
With her orc husband.
Yep. That's
And
me.
That's
Yeah. This is from Smite.
okay. I thought it was World of Warcraft because of the ears and the outfit.
You know, but so, like, yeah, super cool character. So, yeah.
So real quick, what got you to want to do voice acting?
Well, it sort of came to me. I basically was doing on-camera work, and my agent sent me a Nintendo audition. That was my first ever audition. I had to find somebody to record it for me, put it on a CD, run it to my agent. I remember it was a whole thing, and I thought, oh, I did terrible, and I booked it. And so, same thing happened with Star Wars. My on-camera agent, when I moved to LA, got me this. That's the Jaxo character, and anyway, I booked that, and it was a shock to myself, it was a shock to my agent, and after that I sort of decided, you know what, I might think about voiceover and look into that more, and so I took classes. I still take classes. I've been doing it for years now. I've been doing it professionally full-time for 10 years, so.
Nice. And even though actors have been doing it for so long, they're still like taking classes too.
Oh yeah, you always have to take classes. You always want to refresh yourself, kind of, it's just, there's so many other reasons for it too. Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe it. So real quick, what kind of advice would you like to give for someone who wants to get into voice acting?
I mean, I think the first thing you should do is probably take a class to see if it's something you really, really want, because there is going to be a lot of work into it. It's not something you just sort of, I'm going to do this and you get to do it. I mean, it takes a lot of work, a lot of training. It takes equipment and all those things. So you want to make sure it's something you really want to do. So anybody that talks to me about that, I suggest they take a class just to sort of test the waters. And after that, there's so many other things.
Like Elise Bowman, who's a coach for voice acting too.
Yes. Yeah, there's so many fantastic coaches. Exactly. Elise being one. Yeah. So many fantastic coaches, so many online classes, so many in-person classes. And these days, you can pretty much do anything with Zoom classes, no matter where you are.
Even Twitter nowadays, you can you see people posting indie projects for casting calls too.
Yes. Yeah. They're all over the place. You have to look and you have to be careful, because you also don't want to be taken advantage of, and you want to be, some people, and it depends on where you are in your career, but you want to just be careful on what you're working on, how the pay and how people are handling things. But I feel like there's so many other, the voiceover community is so great, and so many people are willing to mentor and talk to you about it. And I've talked to many people helped me. So it's just sort of basically, and by getting in those classes, you're going to be around other people that are like-minded, and you're going to meet those people. You'll talk to each other. You'll kind of learn from them. You'll learn from 100%.
Something I learned in the past few years.
100%.
It's always good to have connections, but don't abuse them.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, always. That's great. Exactly.
Well, I think that should do it again, Marie. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the con.
Thank you so much.
Robertson at Anna Medford. I mean, I don't need to see that part because I already did. How are we enjoying the con, Rick?
I'm loving the con. I'm absolutely love it. We got a great group here, and we hope everybody comes down.
Oh, yeah. Now, is this your first time for an Oregon convention?
For an Oregon convention, yes. Nice. Yes, absolutely. I've never been to Oregon other than a million years ago when I was a disc jockey. But, anyway.
So, if you're familiar with Rick, he is best known as the Demon King Deborah from Dragon Ball Z, the Majin Buu saga.
Maybe I should make it more familiar.
Oh, yeah.
I am the Demon King, for I am Deborah.
Nice.
See, there you go.
So, how did you get into voice acting?
Well, I mentioned I was a disc jockey, and that was kind of a seg from that into like doing voiceover. Okay. And Chris Sabat and I were good friends, and he said, I got a part I think you'd like. And so he brought me in, and we did Deborah, and
Nice.
That was the first thing I did for Dragon Ball Z.
And it seems like you've been enjoying it. How long have you been doing it for again? If you can remember.
Yeah. My father was military, and he would say, since God was a corporal. That's what he would say. Anyway, no, it's been a hot second. I mean, because I did it when my sons were of the age that they could enjoy it, and they're grown. So, it's been a while. It's been a while. It's a lot of fun.
I also noticed you voice Yomi. Who is he from?
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay, I haven't seen that one in a long time.
Okay, he's a blind martial artist. and he has a son, and there's a lot of daddy issues involved in Yu Yu Hakusho. So,
I mean, what anime doesn't have daddy issues?
I know, but this one particularly, it is all I'm saying. You know?
I mean, again, you've like voiced a lot over the years, characters I never even heard of or haven't seen.
Well, Olibu was kind of a one-off for Dragon Ball Z. He appears very briefly, and he is simply a bad Sean Connery impression, really. You know, because it's like, my name is Olibu, you know, that kind of thing. The name is Bond, James Bond. Anyway, it's funny because it's also the same voice that Jim Carrey used for the Grinch.
Oh, that's right.
Remember? All the Who's down in
Okay, I
Whoville
can-
liked Christmas a lot, but the
can-
Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. You remember that?
I can hear it now. So, real quick, advice for those who may want to get into the voice acting or become a disc jockey.
Well, you know, I remember I had a kid once. He said, when I grow up, I want to be a disc jockey. And I said, well, you can't do both, you know. You're going to have to make up your mind. If I was getting into voiceover right now, Elise Bowman is a great coach.
I've heard she's a really good
She's
coach.
a great coach, and I think she gives a really good foundational approach to everything, you know, because it's not just about the voiceover, it's also about the business, you know, of how that is operated, and she's very good at teaching it all. So, yeah, I would highly recommend her. That's a great place to start.
That's some good advice. Again, Rick, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
hope you enjoy the rest of the con.
Well, I'm sure.